Okay, welcome guys to the Blue Prism Foundation training course. My name is Azim. I'll be doing the course, every day, as you know, for the next 2 weeks. We've got the 2-hour sessions, and hopefully we'll learn the foundations of Blue Prism, using the application as well as some sort of theory of the actual, business side of RPA as well. So I hope you guys will enjoy it. So first few things, I just wanted to go through a couple of things before we start our introductions. Um, so all the sessions will be recorded, sorry, as you know already. So yeah, just remind me. If I don't say I'll start the recording, that means I probably forgot. I've never done that yet, but if I do, do let me know. Just put it on chat or something like that. Because obviously we want to take the benefit of being able to access the session afterwards. Um, Another thing is, throughout the session, you will be using your mic to speak to me and asking questions or, commenting on different things. So when you're not talking, just put it on mute. So same thing I'll do as well. If I'm not talking, I'll put it on mute just to avoid that background noise. It can cause a bit of distraction. So just bear that in mind. Another thing, the chat is there. Use it. I've keep an eye on the chat. So if you got any questions, you don't want to put on the mic or whatever, feel free to use the chat. Even small comments, whatever it is, keep the chat busy. With your questions and things like that. And yeah, as you already done today. I'll wait about 2 or 3 minutes before I start the session. So obviously it's supposed to start at 7 p.m. UK time, but I'll give it 2 or 3 minutes grace. Just make sure someone, we give enough time for everyone to join. But yeah, those are the few things to just keep in mind. Just keep things flowing and avoid any sort of issues. Perfect. So now to the important bit, the introductions. I'll start. I'll give myself my introduction, and then we'll go around. In terms of my background, I've been working in retail for the past about 10 years now. In terms of RPA, I've been doing Blue Prism development in the last 2 years. I'm a lead developer. Where I am in the company, I was there from the start when we implemented RPA and things like that. And it's really, really, really good thing to have. It's a really good tool to have. In terms of Blue Prism, like I said, I've already used it for about 2 years. I'm not the most technical person, you'll probably find. But that's the thing about Blue Prism. You don't have to be technical at all. So that's the good thing about it. Any non-technical person can learn it and automate things. And that's the case for me. I really like Blue Prism quite a lot. There are other tools out there, but Blue Prism is the one I've got experience in. And because I like it so much, I like to sort of share and train other people. And that's why, I'm here really. My goal is to be able to train you guys enough so that you know how to use a tool and you're ready for that certification or development, whatever it is that you want to do. Basically, after these 2 weeks, you should be ready to be able to use it to automate anything else. So that's enough about me. Who wants to go next? Any takers? Ollie, I'm hoping you're saying the name right. Okay, we got something here. Cool. Just read it out for the recording because the chat is not going to be visible. Okay, thank you, Ollie. So, I didn't hear your mic. I'm not sure if it is. It does show that there is a mic sign on there, but I can't hear you, I'm afraid. Anyway, I'll read your introduction anyway, Ollie, that's fine. I came across RPA in 2013 whilst working as a finance consultant for Ernst& Young. RPA was still fresh back then, and not many clients were interested. Fast forward 5 years, and after playing with Blue Prism, I'm working as an RPA lead for National Health Service in England. Basically, I'm responsible for deciding what strategy the NSA should put over the coming years. Okay, so that's interesting. So you've played a bit with Blue Prism already, and you're working as an RPA lead. Okay, tell me more about what does the RPA lead involve. So are you actually doing automations, or is it kind of like a management side of things? Less, oh, less technical and more strategizing. Okay, I see. That's interesting. So you kind of already you're familiar with Blue Prism, but not as a developer. You're kind of more into the strategy side of it, which we cover very briefly at the end about how you take a project and the documentation involved and stuff like that. Interesting. So what is it that is making you take this course? Are you actually wanting to use the application for self, or is it just for understanding it? So you've played around with it, but you wouldn't trust yourself building solutions. That's absolutely right. I mean, you can play around with Blue Prism, but it would be quite good to actually get proper training to be able to use it properly. And the good thing about this course is I'm someone who's actually done it uh, uh, from a real perspective. I've actually done developments myself, so I can tell you about the real world hurdles, and that's I think the important bit because anyone can train, but the thing is, you're in the real world, there are things that you wouldn't learn unless you've actually done it. So yeah, so Ollie, you said that you want to become a developer since that's the reason you're in the course. You've come to the right place, and hopefully after this, you'll be very happy about what you learn, and you'll be able to apply it. Perfect. Thank you very much for that introduction there, Ollie. Maybe you want to have a look at the mic, see if you can get it sorted, because it'll be easier for you to kind of put it on the mic. It'll stay on the recordings as well. So perfect. To the next person, Raquel.
Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead. Just give us a bit of an introduction about yourself. You know, the things you see on screen. I'm hoping you can see the screen. Just a bit of what you're doing, why you're here, and what you're looking to get from the course.
Yes, of course. Currently.
Yeah, so do you want to go ahead and just tell us a bit about what you're doing?
Yes, I'm now involved in a project of automation. And for this, I need to learn all the technical as I can to about Blue Prism.
Okay, so you're going to be doing some automation. That's why you need to learn about Blue Prism. So have you already got
Yes,
access to Blue Prism in the company you're in, or?
not yet, but in a little time, I hope yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes, the good thing is you will get access to Blue Prism here. So I'm
Yes.
hoping you already been given your details, so you will be able to actually use it and everything. That's interesting. So Raquel, what type of area are you in? Which type of industry? Is it financial, non-financial?
Financial.
Okay, I see. So what is it that you do as part of your job before automations? Do you do anything else? Are you a technical person or?
Architecture, yes.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Yeah, this is the perfect place. So thank you very much, Raquel, for that.
Thanks.
So okay, perfect. I think that was good. I think we got to know what each of us is into. Perfecto. So I'll move on. Before I move on, are there any questions? No. Okie doke. Thank you very much. So these are the things we'll cover in today's session. It will be quite an easy session, especially because our class is quite small. There are two advantages to that. The first one being that we'll get through the material a lot quicker than you would if the class was bigger. Another good thing is that obviously you're going to get a lot more of my attention as well because we will do some practicing in your own environments and things like that. And this is the right time to ask questions when you're in training. And everything that you can think of, there is no stupid questions. come forward, put your question forward, and I'll be able to help you. Right. So before I actually start covering the course, I just wanted to check. Do both of you have access to your environments? So you would have been given an environment and your Blue Prism username, password, and everything else. Have you guys got that by any chance already? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. That's great. So you've got it, Ollie. Raquel, have you got access to your environment? Have you been given your credentials to log in and everything?
Yes, I've got it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. That means we're ready. Perfect. Okay. So the first thing that we need to cover, and you guys probably already aware of this, but what is robotic process automation? So before we start looking at Blue Prism, etc., let's look at RPA itself. What is it? It's basically a type of automation that's kind of rule based, and you kind of use the virtual robots, and you kind of program them to do things that a human would do, and it has to be repeatable or something that you can give rules to. You have to be able to say, in a true false statement or similar sort of expression, you need to be able to tell a computer what it is you're automating and how they need to make decisions. So it can't just be something where you have to use your intuition and stuff like that. It has to be something that you can put down the parameters of. So that's where RPA comes in. You build a bot and you just tell it to do it so that you don't have to do that boring task. Um, and yeah, it will work exactly like a human would do. So that's the difference between RPA and a proper automation. RPA, you're actually using the user interface. So the same way a human would press start and click on a program or something like that, it will be similar to that. You'll be doing a lot of steps that are kind of from a human perspective, but you're automating on the front end, if you like, rather than the back end programming way of automating. And the good thing about RPA is that it is easy to use. When we're talking about RPA, because we're automating the front end, generally the software that's involved is easy and anyone can do it. You don't have to be a programmer for X amount of years. You can be the business person and you do the automation, which is a very, very big advantage of RPA. So to the advantages of RPA. So the good thing about it is that you don't have to install anything specific on the machine to get the automation to work. You just need a program, and that's about it. You don't have to, you probably heard about APIs and stuff like that, where things go into the back end of the application and communicate with another application, cross application communication, and they have to do some really technical stuff. With RPA, you don't. You already got the software, you just automate it from the front end. That's the good thing about it. And obviously, your robots, they're always working, they're machines. So, the software robots, they don't sleep. As long as your computer is on, you can have it up and running. And yeah, they can automate a lot of different things. You can automate anything with RPA, absolutely any application, any type of application. And yeah, one robot can do multiple different jobs. I would kind of put it in this way. Imagine you have a temporary person that you just hired and you want them to do something really boring, repetitive, like data entry or something like that. RPA is the thing for that. So that's the kind of processes that you need to be looking at for RPA. You wouldn't be looking at something where it's very complex and needs a lot of human intuition. That's not what RPA is there to help you with. It's there to help you with the boring things, taking the robot out of the human. Okay, so that's the in brief, few advantages of RPA. There are some limitations, unfortunately. And okay, let's have a look. Raquel, you got a question, but it's possible to do the same time with the same user. I'm not sure what you mean. Can you just elaborate a bit?
Yes, because for example, at the moment I have a synapse structure,
Mm-hmm.
and for this, for example, it's not possible to execute the with the same user different process at the same synapse. You understand me, no?
Are you saying that a user needs to be logged in and you run an RPA automation? Is that the question?
Yeah. Huh.
Okay, so the way with RPA is that you will have the environment that the automations run on. So you would have what they call virtual workers. So let's say you have 10 computers, they're specifically just to run automation. That's how the environment is set up. Does that answer your
Mm.
question, or was your question a different one? Sorry, you can try
It's
again.
it's a little difficult because it's because in the same machine, you in the same runtime, you it's necessary to execute um, with one user, for example, a different process in one runtime.
Okay, so are you saying one virtual worker run multiple processes at the same time?
Yeah,
Okay, okay, I understood your question. Yes, that is possible. You can run multiple processes at the same time, but as you'll see, that is complex to do. Okay, but you can't do it, but it is complex. In general, you will do one process, that process is finished, you do another process. But when we're
yeah,
talking about AI process in here, it means different applications and stuff like that, not just one application. So you know you'll probably be a bit more clear once we start covering what it actually does. But yes, to answer your question, you can do multiple automations in one session and at the same time.
okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. So yeah, the limitations of RPA. So one of the things is that the speed that it works at. Obviously, when it comes to the proper automation, the APIs and whatnot, the technical stuff, and that really does speed things up because it's all done in the background and stuff like that. With RPA, we're actually automating the front end of the application. We're actually using the application. We're just getting a robot to do it rather than a human being there. So obviously it will be as fast as the application is itself. However, some actions are a lot quicker than human because it can do a lot quicker calculations and stuff like that. But there is that to bear in mind. And like I said already, tasks that require judgment, creativity, intuition, they can't be automated because you have to specify parameters when you're doing an automation with RPA, and it's not an artificial intelligence robot or anything like that. It's rule-based kind of object building automation. So that's the kind of thing that you need to be looking at when automating. And another thing, which I have always heard to be a limitation, but I haven't really seen a big impact, is if there is any changes to the application because we're using the front end. Then the automation may stop working because it doesn't recognize the element that was changed. It could be it was a button that used to be green or used to be on the left, now it's on the right, and it changes locations. Sometimes that can affect your application. So you have to look at it and see, is it a application that keeps getting updated all the time? So you have to evaluate these things when looking at an automation. So those are really in brief, the few advantages and limitations of RPA. Any questions before I move on? Ollie, I realize you might have got your mic now. It kind of popped up on here, so hopefully you've got it. Welcome, Stan. I think you joined just now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Hi,
you.
how are you, Stan? You're right.
Great, great. I was just a little bit late joining. Apologize, but
No, no, no,
all
that's
good now.
absolutely fine. So, Stan, just so that I catch you up really quickly. So Raquel, it's basically looking at doing some automation. So she wants to look at the technical side of Blue Prism, learn it so she can do automations. Ollie, she works in the NHS and is already involved in RPA, but from a business strategy side of things, and she wants to get more involved in the development side. And myself, my introduction is that I've been doing RPA for the past 2 years, and probably should have started with myself, didn't I? I've been doing automations for the past 2 years using RPA. I work in the retail sector, and yeah, I'm looking to kind of deliver the course and help you guys with, how to use Blue Prism and give you some real world insight. So that's our kind of introductions. What's yours? I've put something on the screen here to help you. A couple of questions.
So I'm in the financial services area.
Okay.
And we're just starting to look at kind of the automation aspect, and part of which is Blue Prism.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was a toss-up between Blue Prism and automation anywhere, but I think we landed on Blue Prism. And I have some familiarity with Blue Prism, obviously not a lot, and I'm looking to get a little bit more involved with some of the technical details and really how to execute, especially from the point of view of we're starting out and we haven't really employed a lot of automation. So as much as I can know both technical and strategy wise would be really what I'm trying to look for in this course.
Of course, of course. You're kind of in the same boat as Ollie, to be honest. You're kind of
Okay.
looking
Okay.
at, you kind of got the strategy side of it and you're looking into the technical now. You want to actually learn how to use the application, but you've got some familiarity already with Blue Prism. So that's quite good that you already know something about it, because you'll give us some different perspectives that I may not know as a developer. So that's good to know and to have in the class. I think then Raquel, you're probably the only one that's not had any Blue Prism experience. Have you had any exposure to it?
Yes, for example, with Jakarta. Jakarta, do you know?
Sorry, I can't hear you very well there. There's a lot of background noise.
Oh, sorry. Jakarta, do you know?
Sorry, I can't make out anything there. Sorry.
Um,
Did you?
um,
Have you used Blue Prism already? Oh, no, no, never heard of that.
okay. Prism before that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, no. The first contact is about 2 months ago.
Okay, so have you actually used Blue Prism? Or you actually seen it before, or not yet?
Not yet. More or less, I know that it's necessary to define and to design a process and objects,
Yes.
and a little idea, but I need all the information you can give me.
Perfect. Good, good, good. So yeah. So Raquel, you're the only one here that's not used it, which is going to be good because we're going to get your perspective as well. So Stan and Ollie, they have got some experience. They've seen it, probably looked at the strategy side of it. You're fresh. So you're going to give us some insights as well into, Blue Prism. And it looks like you looked at another tool already called Jacada. So you can probably bring something to the table from that. So that's really good. I really like it. I like it when there's a mix of people because we can get different perspectives, and that's really important. Okay, so let's move on. Thank you very much, Raquel, for that. Blue Prism. So what is it? Blue Prism is an application. It's an RPA application, okay? As you probably know, uh, uses object-based building, as Raquel mentioned. So you build your objects, which is basically where you teach where you're teaching your application to the virtual worker. And then you put those objects together in what's called a process, and then you just make an automation that way, just magically. It just appears. Not really, but you know what I mean. Sorry for the lame jokes, guys. Sorry in advance, but I try. Um, right. So it uses it's based on the Microsoft.NET framework. That's what sits in the background. It bases its automations on that. In terms of the database, it's a Microsoft SQL Server database that it uses. If you know, and like I said before, You don't have to be very technical. You don't have to be technical at all to do Blue Prism, as you'll see in the course. It's really, aimed at the business people. So they do the automations. But if you do know some programming, it is useful. Visual Basic, C Sharp, J Sharp in particular, you can make use of those things in Blue Prism for the more advanced things. So if you know automation, if you know a programming language, good. But if you don't, no problem. It's fine. Like I said before, I don't think you were here, Stan and John. I am not the most technical person, but I've been doing this for 2 years and I'm a lead developer. So you don't have to be technical, but it helps. But if you're not technical, don't worry. You're just like me. Okay. Welcome, John. How are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly well. How are you
I'm
doing?
good. I'm good, thanks. Apologies. I mixed up my CET and my GMT.
No, don't worry about it. It's the first day, so it's not like you're gonna miss a lot. But what we'll do, John, Stan also joined, and we kind of just caught him up and had some introductions. The first thing I did was go through some introductions. I think it's important to know everyone's background. So let me try and summarize everyone in the room, everyone's introduction, and then you'll give yours. So. Myself, I've been doing this for 2 years in terms of RPA development. I work for a retailer and I've been doing so for the past 10 years. But in the last two is when I've been doing development. I'm a lead RPA developer and use Blue Prism to do the automations. So the main thing for this course is I want to be able to show you guys the basics of Blue Prism and then obviously give you some real world development. Okay. Development experience and issues. In terms of Ollie and Stan, they kind of in a similar boat. They've kind of seen Blue Prism and got some idea what it is. They involved in the strategy side of things, but they want to actually learn now the actual application and want to be able to do development. And Raquel, she has looked at a previous automation application called Jacada. I've never heard of it, but she's now looking at Blue Prism and wants to learn Blue Prism. So in terms of Blue Prism, she's quite fresh in. So that's a brief summary of everyone. What is your story, John?
So I am currently working as an IT and project management consultant, and it's an area that I'm very interested in without knowing anything really about. So I guess that's why I'm here. I want to learn a bit about RPA itself, and I guess what better way to do it than to get my hands dirty and start learning a bit of how it all hangs together technically and how it's how to develop
Good stuff. That's very good, John.
some
That's
RPA tools.
sounds
So
good. So we got two people, yourself and Raquel, who've not used it, and we've got Stan and Ollie who've got some sort of idea of it. So that's really good. What I've been saying is that we want different perspectives, and I think in this class we've got it. So perfect. Now that two more people have joined since I started the session, I just wanted to put this back in here again. At the start of every session, I do record them, so you can go back and revise. So for you guys that have missed the first few slides, you can go back and watch it afterwards. Mute your mics if you're not talking. Just avoid the background noise; it causes a lot of distractions. And yeah, keep the chat going as Ollie has been doing. It's been fantastic that I can see the chats going on there. And yeah, we generally will wait at the start about 2 or 3 minutes before I kick it off. Just I'll give it about 2 or 3 minutes to give enough time for people to log in at the set time. But after that, I'll just start it off, and then you can catch up on the video side of thing. So we were talking about Blue Prism, and we were talking about Visual Basic, C Sharp, J Sharp, and programming, etc. Ollie's got a question. Do you use VB/C Sharp throughout your development? So if you're asking if I use it, most likely, most of the time, no. I have had to use it a few times, but it's not necessary. I mean, if you know it, it can make life easier in certain things, but if you don't know it, it doesn't hurt either. But majority of the time, no, I don't use it. And you will see close to the end of it where you can use it. And for the most part, you won't even see us using any of it, any programming. And you'll be like, what? Is that it? Yeah, that's it. It's just at the end. Now, one last tip for you guys. Sign up to the Blue Prism portal on portal.blueprism.com. So if you are not signed up already, make sure you do. There's a ton of stuff in there. A lot of the things that we will cover here, they're already in there, but obviously a lot of it isn't. But it's a good place to be. So if you haven't got an account, sign up. Especially you need to have a portal account to be able to do the certification if that's what you like at the end of it. So make sure you go to portal.blueprism.com and you sign up and you go to the learning section, start reading. There's a lot of stuff in there. If you go into the documentation side, for example, there is so many documents and there's so much in here, it'll keep you busy. So make sure that you sign up. That's quite an important aspect of it. Okay, that's taking too long to load. I'm not gonna wait. Let's carry on. Okay, doke. So where is Blue Prism in the market, in the RPA market, when you compare to other tools? So this is some research that was done by Everest Group in 2017. And obviously it is a rapidly moving kind of market. RPA has just been growing, substantially. But the good thing is that Blue Prism is in the leader side of things. So the main three main ones are Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, and UiPath. Now you'll see Tautonomy as a leader as well. Tautonomy, I've got exposure to that too, is basically Blue Prism rebranded. It's a different company offering as a software as a service kind of offering, but it's the same thing. So you could say Blue Prism is really the market, and you put Autonomy in that category as well. So yeah, that's so you're learning a market leading tool. It's not going to go anywhere anytime soon, especially because of how different it is to the other tools. And I haven't used Automation Anywhere yet. I've seen it. I've used UiPath and I've done a bit of it. So far, looking at all of them, Blue Prism definitely seems to be the easiest to learn and the best for non-technical people like myself. Ollie, you got a comment there. Regarding Tautonomy, never know why they class them as a separate provider. To be perfectly honest, I was shocked myself. It's basically Blue Prism and they just renamed it. How do you even allow to do that? Do you know what I mean? And how do you even get away with it? It's basically the same thing, just a different name. I was really shocked, but it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know why they class separate applications because it's basically the same thing. Right, so course objectives. What do I want for you guys to achieve at the end of all of this? What do I want? Where do I want everyone to be? First thing is we need to be able to have learned the core Blue Prism functionality. All of the different things about Blue Prism we would have learned. After that, throughout my training, I will try as much as possible cover real life examples, and you will do some real life use cases as well. So the first 2 weeks, that's with me. I do the training. I show you how to use the tool. I give you some insights. And then the next 2 weeks, then that's all, down to self-paced things. You'll have exam questions. You'll have a real use case for you to build as well. And I'll be available as well for questions and extra sessions if you like, if you need. It's all there. That's how it kind of going to play out. I mean, all of this will prepare you for the Blue Prism Developer AD01 exam, which is the entry-level developer exam for Blue Prism. So it's something that you want to be looking at doing. It's quite good, and this will definitely prepare you for it. Okay. Coolio. Now, before we jump into the lab session, we've got another starter here. Maya, is it? Mia? My Portuguese is my first language, so I can misspell things sometimes. Hi Maya, you alright? Can you hear me? Okay, whilst we're waiting for Maya to come back to us, so let's see. Will we be prepared enough to sit the AD01 in say 1 month's time? when you're going to be ready is relative and subjective. That I cannot tell you 1 month, because it can be 1 month for you, it can be 1 day for you. um, it depends on each person. What I'm going to say is that whatever we will do here, whatever we will cover here, will prepare you enough for you to be able to take the exam. They do advise that after your training, you give it a few months and a few real life use of Blue Prism before doing the exam. Although the exam is not difficult, it's just multiple choice questions, but it is best if you attempt it after you've actually used it in the real world, because you get a lot of perspective. So yes, you will have the knowledge you need. You definitely need the practice. And yes, thank you very much, Ollie. Thank you for your contributions. This is really nice, because you just reminded me about something. What you mentioned there, what you meant to say was we'll have the knowledge for the course and we need to practice. That's absolutely right. Practice makes perfect. The key to doing well in this course and the key to maximizing your returns for this course is to practice. Okay. Hi Maya, I can see you there. Hello. I'll put you on the mic shortly. Let me just finish this sentence, and then I'll definitely get back to you and give you some insight into who we are in the class already. So as I was saying, in terms of practice, practice makes perfect. I know it sounds cliche, but it is true. If you want to maximize your time in this course in the next 2 weeks, especially when I'm in class, and then 2 weeks after that, make sure you use your resources. So you're going to have some stuff in the LMS that's going to be uploaded after the course. You'll have the video, you'll have the exercises. Do them. If you don't do them, you'll fall behind. And if you fall behind, you won't be able to ask the questions, and then you won't make the most of it. You have got access to Blue Prism. Blue Prism is really hard to get hold of outside of something like this. You wouldn't be able to download a trial online or something like that and just be able to play with it. So make the most use of it. You'll have access to a real environment where you got Blue Prism and you'll be able to play with it. So take as much time as you can on it and come back with me with questions, and we will all benefit. Sometimes I learn stuff. So come back and ask the questions, and we will all benefit from it, and you benefit from it, and we'll see different perspective, different issues that we didn't know were there. So that's the most important piece of advice I can give you for this course, and to make the most of it. Right. So Maya, you can put your mic on now. Hello. Sorry, I was trying to finish my sentence there. Kind of probably took a bit long. Yeah. So we kind of just wanted to find out in terms of your perspective, your introduction, where you're at, what's your background and what you already know about Blue Prism and why you chose the course. No problem, Maya, that's fine. You can put it on chat if you don't want to come on mic, that's fine. I'll read it out. Okay, so you work in banking IT, interesting. So what kind of exposure you've had to Blue Prism? What do you normally do, and what's made you come to the course? Okay, so you're starting to use RPA and you want to know more about it. That's interesting. When you say RPA, is it Blue Prism? Yes, the business wants to automate process. The business, as soon as you know how to use RPA, the business will not stop wanting to automate processes. So, yeah, what you said that it's kind of absolutely correct. So you already use Blue Prism, or what's the background there? You guys have got Blue Prism, but you're not doing it, and you want to do it, or you kind of like in the strategy side of Blue Prism, and you want to get involved in the technical side? Tech side. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I would imagine you know something about Blue Prism, but you want to actually learn it. Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Maya. And yeah, we've got a couple of people in. Okay, no, that's fine. If the audio is not working, that's no problem. Am I saying your name correct? That's the first thing, because I'm not very good at saying names. English is not my first language, as I mentioned, but is Maya correct? That's what I want to know. It's your nickname. Okay, as long as I'm not saying it wrong, then that's the main thing. Perfect. So, Neville, hi, you just joined us. Oh, Mia. Sorry, Mia. Okay, I'll make sure I say Mia from now. I don't know why I'm saying Maya, but that's Mia. I'll say that. Hi, Neville. You're right.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly fine. So, Neville, we just, I understand obviously you've missed a couple of things already, but there will be the recording after every session that you can go back to. But I think what was important is we wanted to get to know who the people are in the course and why you're here. So, if you can give us a bit of an introduction about yourself.
Okay, I'm a technical SAP BI consultant. I've been contracting for many years. So I've got a background in SAP and BIBW. A lot of experience in industry and commercial businesses. And I'm taking a break, a sabbatical, and I'm doing this course as part of that break.
Ah, perfect. Good stuff. So, have you seen Blue Prism or had any exposure to it, or is it just something you want to get into now? Because some of us already have Blue Prism in their institutions, but we're just in the strategy side of it and want to learn the technical bit. What's your situation?
The companies where I've been recently working are using Blue Prism quite extensively now, but they're American-based companies, so I think Blue Prism is used more in the States than it is in the UK, where I'm based. So I wanted to get in and learn about it and see what it's all about.
Okay, perfect. No, that's perfect. That's great. So, yeah, we do have a very good class where half the people not seeing it want to really get into it. So half the people kind of got the strategy side of it and want to get into the technical side of it. So that's good. You mentioned that Blue Prism is more popular in US. I don't know. I'm in the UK. I think it's more popular here than in the US. I think in the US they use automation anywhere more, but I could be wrong. I thought that was the case.
Well, that's good insight. I'm glad to hear that it's being used more here, but I've not had any experience of it being used here.
Ah, okay, because I've seen a lot of automation anywhere in the US and a lot of Blue Prism here. But whatever, as long as they got Blue Prism using, that'll be the main thing, isn't it? We'll be
Yeah,
able to. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Neville.
thank you.
So Mia, you want to test your audio? Yes, go ahead. Put your mic on, no problem. Yep, go ahead, Mia. You can try it out. I think having your mic is quite important because it just no, we can't hear you. If you're trying to speak, we can't hear you. You have to click on that green button on the top there where it's got the mic, so you unmute yourself. Because on here it's showing that you're muted at the moment. So I don't know if that's what it is. It's showing as unmuted now. You want to try and say something? Nope, can't hear you still. Think you're gonna have to have a look at that. I still can't hear you, I'm afraid. That's fine. Keep trying. I don't mind. No problem. Keep trying to have a look at it. That's no problem. But yeah, as of right now, it's showing your mic is unmuted, but I can't hear you. So guys, now we're going to go into the lab session. Okay, I'll just give you the way it's going to work is every day. I'll probably do a bit of talking, and then most of the time I'll be in the lab showing you the application and teaching you the application. Obviously, you probably will find it hard to keep up with what I'm doing because in the session, I just want to give you the insight in the theory and showing you the theory. The majority of the stuff is once you've seen it, me doing it, you're going to have some exercises for you to do yourself. So it's important that obviously you look at the lab session, you see what I'm doing, you get some idea of what you need to do, and ask me the questions. And then whenever we finish the session, you're going to have your exercise stuff to do that, because it's the same stuff that I will be doing, but in more detail. And you know, it's a self kind of paced. But the good thing is you would have already seen it. It's not going to be brand new. And then you're going to be able to do it yourself. And then we move on to the next one. So you kind of have your session, your lab up, your kind of environment up, and do it yourself as I'm doing it. So that's fine. Carry on with that if you prefer that. It's totally up to you how you do it. But the main thing is that after the session, you go back and you look at the documentation that will be posted for that day and you go through it. That is very important. Okay, any questions before I go into the lab? No, that's fine. Okay, doke. So let's put on the lab. So you should have got your credentials and things like that to be able to have access to the application. Is that the case with everyone? Everyone's got access to it. If you don't have it, let me know. Okay, Mia, you don't have access. So did you kind of contact Edward to sort of get your credentials, or were you not send them? You can log into the VM. Okay, that's a good start. And what about Blue Prism? Oh, okay. What is your, is the same. So if you like, it will be the same as your credentials. Your Blue Prism credentials are the same as your VM credentials. So generally one of us will have like I'm user 9, you'll have like user 4, something like that. And the same password you use to log into the virtual machine is the same one onto the actual Blue Prism itself. No? Okay. All right, that's fine. Yeah, have a look. If you don't, then please make sure for today, it is not very crucial, but you know, I wouldn't let it happen till tomorrow until you don't have access. Please chase that up with Edward and make sure you get that. It's extremely important that you get your credentials very early and start using the application. Okay, guys? Right. So let's give it a start, shall we? So this is Blue Prism. Let me just close it up actually. This is Blue Prism. Very simple stuff. You'll basically just log in as any other application. No, don't put your password wrong. Let's try that again. Okay. So this is the first thing you'll see when you log into Blue Prism. It's kind of a dashboard telling you what's going on. I mean, it's self-explanatory really after you've kind of know what it is you're doing. The main thing I want to show you guys today is the studio. That's where we're going to spend most of the time. We're going to be in the studio. So the studio, just to give you a brief overview, as I mentioned before, the way it works is you build objects where you teach the application, and then you go into processes where you put those objects together to make an automation. Okay, so for the first part, first 2 days, we'll be looking at the process studio and everything that's in there before we move on to object studio. So okay, so that's where we're going to spend our time in the first 2 days in. Now you'll notice that there is already a lot of stuff in here. Yes, because for the previous classes, they've been using the same environment. So, you know, make a folder for yourself, right click, create group, and that means create folder, put your name on it, and everything you do, put it in there just so it's nice and organized for you. So yes, that's why you see a lot of stuff already in there. Everyone's that's been training has used this, okay? So you'll be able to see other people's work as well. Right, so Process Studio. Let's start with that. So the way it works, the way the process kind of looks, so let's create a new process. So you go to File, New Process, yes, and let's give it a quick name, Class Process. Just any random name, really. Testing, example process. So when creating your process, always give it some description as to what that process is for. Obviously, in this case, this process is just to show you guys an example of a process. Finish. So as you'll see, it's been created. Now, when you first create your process, it gets added to here. So look around here is where it's going to add it. So as you can see, what is my process? What have I created my process? Class process. There you go. So you see, I'm user 9. So there is an audit for everything that happens on that process. All changes that you make come on here. So here we go, class process. That's what I've just created. I've already got a folder, so I'm just going to drag and drop it there. Okay, so I already got a group that I've created. I'm going to drag and drop my process into there. And now let's open that process. So this is what a basic kind of process looks like when you first create it. There's basically nothing in it. And it's really straightforward the way a Blue Prism process is set. So it basically uses diagrams. So if you've kind of seen Visio, or if you've seen any type of flow chart in your life, it's kind of on that. If you look at the things on the left side here, it's kind of just you put shapes in here and you just go and connect it up and etc. So it's really straightforward. Okay, so this obviously is your pointer, and then you've got that link. This is where you link things together. Again, it's not really a strange concept for all of us. You know, if you use flow charts or stuff like that, even in Excel, you do flow charts and whatever, you can connect dots and whatever and whatnot. So what I've done here is, when you first create a process, it always has a start and at the end by default. All I've done is gone into link and I've linked the start to the end to say when this process runs, it just starts and it ends. Very straightforward, because what I want to cover now is how you run a process. Okay, so there is some commands here. As you see, there's a place, pause, or whatever. This is where you actually control your process. So a good practice is to always press reset first. Always press reset first and then play your process. So I've reset and now I'm going to play the process. So I can press play or I can press F5. I'm going to press play. Can you see it just run? The process just run, and you got different speeds you can run the process. At the moment it's at normal speed. I can run it in very slow speed and reset and play. And as you can see, it went from start to end. Very simple and straightforward. And the yellow kind of highlight tells you where the process is at the moment. Okay, so very straightforward things. So that's kind of how you kind of link things up and how you kind of reset and play is all from this side here. You can press F5 to play as a shortcut, and you can choose the different speeds. If you look at this one, I'll play really fast, it just ends really quickly, really fast. If I do it really slowly, then I can see it moving. Okay, so that's useful. Sometimes you want to actually see where the process is as it's moving. You do it at very slow speed. And yes, if you want to use the link, you click on it first and then you link it. And once you're done with it, make sure you click back on the pointer so that you not got that little link thing anymore. So link is the first thing that you need to know about. Okay, we created a new process already. Okay, now the first thing we're going to look at is what's called the calculation stage, this one here. So you can click it once to select it and then click inside, or you can just drag and drop, whichever way you prefer. This is how you put actions into your diagram. Okay, so now I've put a collection stage onto my diagram, and I'm going to link it up. So it doesn't automatically link things up. You have to manually do it. So if you were to leave something like this, like that, it'll be very confusing. So make sure you always link things up. So what thing I'll recommend you do is always link it up as when it's not connected to the lines, just so you don't forget, and then just organize it every nice. The way you organize it plays a big role in you being able to read and see what's happening. And one thing to bear in mind is when you're doing your diagram, it's not just for you, it's for other people who have to see your process. So it's always good to start clean and keep it nice and tidy. So always organize your process right at the beginning, so that obviously it doesn't start looking really bad and other people can't look at it. So I put a stage in there. I just want to save it. So click on save, and then when you save, every time you save, you have to put some comment about what you did, which you will see on that audit that we just saw earlier on in here. So as you've seen, process was created. That was the first thing that happened. And now I'm going to put some comment in here, which is first save. Now press save changes. And now if I look back in there, I've got that audit, which is very, very important. Because when you're working on a big process, sometimes you need to make some changes and you put a comment as to what you changed and everything, so that if you made a mistake, you can look back at where you were at, what you changed, and things like that. So one thing I forgot to mention is when you link it up to the calculator, to any stage, when you drag it, go right to the middle or something like that. You can't go to the end here. If you do that, it just won't link, you see. You have to actually go to the middle to link it up. So that's the basics of putting things into the diagram. And if I play this now at slow speed first thing, reset, and then play. You can see it moving was in start, then you went into calculate, and then obviously I've had an error there. I need to put something in here, so I'll just cover that in a moment. Let me just put some random thing in there so that it runs. Let's press reset, play. Okay, perfect. Okay, doke, and now let's do the same thing in fast speed. That was really fast, just like that. Okay, so yes, save, regularly save. Make sure you save at regular intervals, although there is this backup option enabled by default. Every 10 minutes, it will save, so that if you were to close it by mistake, not if you close and press discard changes, you're not going to be able to get it. But if your computer crashes or something like that, then it has this auto save that you see here at the bottom as well. That process was saved at 3:01 of the server time. So it does save, but it's only usable if your computer crashes or something like that, not if you close and you discard changes. If you were to close and you say discard changes and you close your process, that automatic save is not going to help you. Only if your computer was to crash and it abruptly interrupts. Okay, so as you can see, I saved and I didn't have the other things that I'd added there when I saved it. So they're gone now because the autosave is only for recovery. Okay, now another thing that we need to look into is this bit here. This is a very, very important thing to keep looking at when you're developing, because it tells you what's wrong with your diagram, what's wrong with what you've put. And it kind of like, it's really helpful because if you double click on it, it takes you to the stage that's actually got the problem. And it tells you, this calculation stage, the stage to store results doesn't exist, or the expression is blank. Because in this calculation stage, you need to do some sort of an expression, and then you need to store that somewhere. And if you don't do those things, then obviously you're going to get an error. And that's why when I played it, I got the error. So that's the reason why you'd have an error. But I'll look at a calculation stage later on. I think we'll start with the easier one, which is a decision stage. Okay, so again, I click on decision and I click in the middle, and then what I do, I link it up. Okay. Now, as you can see, decision involves yes or no, isn't it? So a decision is true or false. Now, obviously, the first thing that you link through to a decision is always yes. So it always goes down the positive route first, and then the next thing you link up will be no. Now, there is another thing to look at, which is anchors. They don't do any functionality, so to speak. It's just to help you easily organize things. So I'm just going to put an anchor there and an anchor here. So instead of me putting a no just like that, and you can see there's a no and a yes there, that doesn't look very clean. So I'm going to click on the, so if you want to delete a link, you have to click on the arrow. Can you see it changes color? Click on the arrow, press delete. So again, first one goes to yes. The second one, and I will go the same place, but I want it to be look different. So I just go down this route. Actually, I don't need this other anchor. What I can, or do I? Yeah. And then I go down this route here. So, I mean, nothing can stop you from doing it like that, but the visual side of it, that should stop you because that doesn't look very clear. And, you know, you want to be able to see which route your process is taken when you are actually developing. So you want to keep things clean, and anchors help you to go around things. So always use your anchors. Your anchors are the key to keeping things clean on your diagram. Okay. Right. So far, so good, guys. This is very, very basics of it. Any questions before I continue? Actually, I'm going to get rid of that anchor. What I can do is, I've got an end there. I can put another end there. So instead of going to the same end, I've got a separate end. Okay. Right. So everyone okay? Perfect. I'll carry on. Now, let's put something into this decision. Okay. Yes or no decision. So let's have a look. Now, one thing I recommend you do, every time you put a new stage into your diagram, always name it, okay? Don't just leave the default names in there because that doesn't help it making clear what it is and what it's actually doing. So in this decision, let's say I want to ask, does 1 plus 1, no, I want a yes or no question. Any ideas, guys? Any yes, no questions? Do I like ice cream? When I don't have any ideas, this is what I use. Do I like ice cream? So if 1, so this is me building an expression now. I'm going to say 1 equals 1. Okay, and we all know that that's true. 1 does equal 1. I'm hoping that that's true, right? So 1 equals 1. So now we know that this decision should go to yes because we have built an expression that is going to be true. When you build an expression, you can evaluate that expression by clicking on evaluate, and it gives you the answer there of what the result will be. You can even validate it, and you'll see the difference between evaluate and validate in later on. But to keep things simple, I'm going to just keep normal speed, press reset, as I mentioned. Can you see there was one error there? So let me get rid of that expression. Press OK, press reset. Can you see that there is an error there? Let's open it up. It says expression is blank. Double click on it and it highlights it. And then you go in and you fix it. 1 equals 1. Okay. Now the error is still there, but if you press reset, that's when it disappears. And that's what's very important, to press reset. Now let's play this. So we'll start, check if I like ice cream. Of course I do. It goes to end down that route. Now, does 1 equal 0? Okay, let's change the expression to 1 equals 0. We all know that that's not true. So let's press reset and then press play. And you're going to see now it's going to go down the other route. And that, guys, is a lot of what you will be doing in the process side of things. You'll just be putting in rules, and then, you know, whatever, it depends on what it happens, it will go down a certain route. So this is what I meant when I was talking earlier about the things to look at for RPA. You're going to be able to, put this in as an expression, whatever your business rule is, put it into an expression so that it can then make its own decisions. If you've got some type of intuition decision that a human makes and you don't have any rules you can put down on here, then that's not really a suitable process for RPA. RPA, you need to know what you want to do to be able to put it on your process so that it goes down that route. Okay, so that is kind of the basics of a decision. And you can right click on a decision and click on switch. So first you'll see the yes goes down and the no goes down there. If I right click and I switch, it'll just switch it up. Okay, so no is down here now and yes is down there. Let's press reset and play. Boom, goes down there now. So that's an easy thing to keep in mind. And yeah, a page, it can have only one start. You can't have more than one. If you try to delete the start, you won't be able to. But it can have multiple ends. Okay, you can end it in different routes. So if I delete that, it will delete. Control Z. But start, you just can't get rid of. The two things you cannot delete are these two things here. You will never be able to delete them. But everything else you can get rid of. Yeah. Okay. So now we looked at the decision stage. Is everyone familiar with expressions? Don't worry if you're not, but are you familiar with these type of things? Where you put numbers and you've got text, that type of thing. Everyone familiar with it? Yep. Okay, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. If you're not, don't worry, because Blue Prism has taken care of you. And I will be frank with you guys, I was not familiar with expressions when I was trained up on this. I was like, whoa, what is this? But this stuff right here, it helps you a lot in the beginning because you want to understand how it all works. So you just look at this side here and it gives you what each thing does. These are all the possible expressions you can put in Blue Prism, okay, in the calculation or decision stage. So you look at it here. So if you're not familiar with it, take some time to look at this stuff and read it up, and then you'll see what it's all about. And it's really, really straightforward stuff. I wouldn't even say it's technical. It's all business stuff. So if you're not familiar, don't worry about it. But it's there anyway. I wasn't when I started, and I turned out fine, hopefully. Cool. So we looked at decision stage. We put a very basic expression in there, and like I said earlier, we looked at a calculation stage, and the calculation stage is very similar to a decision stage in terms of expression wise. So let's delete that, and let's delete that, and let's put a calculation in place. Let's link it up as we had it before. Again, every time you put something in there, name it a very kind of user-friendly name. So obviously I don't know what I'm doing yet with this calculation, so I'm going to call it calculation for now, but let's see what we want to do with it. So again, the old familiar expression page. With a decision, you had an expression that decided the route of the flow. With a calculation, you'll have an expression that you will use to output some sort of a result. Okay, so that's the main difference. They both use expressions, but for different purposes and for different uses in the flow. So let's put that expression that we had, 1 plus 1. Okay, yeah, well, the expression we had earlier, 1 plus 1. So this is a calculation. Now, if I was to evaluate that, it'll tell me it's 2. The whole point of a calculation is that you store the result somewhere, and to store it you need to have what's called a data item. So let's press OK and just leave that for now. If you look at it here on the left side, you've got data item. Click on there, boom, you've got data item there. Data item are just that. Now, they're the kind of stages that hold the data for you. Because when you're running your process, you want to be able to hold data somewhere and refer to it and stuff like that. That's what the data item is for. So as you can see, I created a data item called data1. Now I've created something where somewhere where I can store my results, okay? And when you create a data item, you have to specify what type of data item is it. Is it a date, time, flag? What is it? I want to store a number in it, okay? And then you've got a choice of putting some initial values in there so that every time your process starts, it will start with that value. You can just leave it blank. Obviously, number should never be blank, so you should always put something in there. But if you leave it as it is, it will work anyway. But as soon as you edit it and you put a number, it won't let you. So press OK on there. If I look at my calculation, now if I look at the data item section of my calculation, I've got my data item showing in there, and I can just drag and drop. Now that means I can validate it because I've now got a place to store the result in. So if I delete that and I validate, it'll tell me an error. Stage cannot store results anywhere. So once I put it in there and I validate again, well, fine. So validate just makes sure the expression is right. Evaluate just actually runs it and tells you what the result is of that expression. So press OK now. Press reset again, guys. Remember to press reset. That's a good practice. Remember to press reset and then play. So let's play it a bit slow. So the data item, keep an eye on that. I'll press play, does the calculation, and stores the calculation on the data item. Okay. So that's what a calculation and a data item actually does. Cool. So now we're going to do a really cool little process that's going to do a small calculation, and it's going to have a decision. Okay. Again, guys, don't worry about the practice side of it. The exercise you're going to get is going to have all of this stuff in it, and you're going to do this in more detailed, and you're going to really learn the calculations and your decisions properly on your own time. Right now I'm just doing a demo and showing you practically what it's like, and you can follow along if you like, but if you don't, that's absolutely fine too. So now let's do a little calculation with a little decision. Okay, so let's say I want to add so the good thing about it is when you have a data item, let's put an initial value of 0 in it. Okay, and then I can reference a data item in here. So I can drag that data item into my expression. Okay, so let me actually name this into number, just so that it's nice and clean. Now I renamed it there, and I go back in here, it's not going to rename it in my expression. So be careful about that. Make sure you drag it back in there. Again, here as well. After I've renamed it, it's not renamed it there. The good thing is if you press OK, let's say you made a mistake, you forgot about it, press reset, your errors is what's going to save you. It's going to tell you stage to store result doesn't exist. If it's a big diagram, you don't know where it is, double click, okay, you know where it is straight away. Yeah, so you know where the issue is. Again, you can drag and drop there, done. So what I'm saying here is I want to take that number and I want to add 1 to it. Okay, so that's what I'm doing in this calculation, just taking 0 and adding 1 to it. Press reset, press play. 0, 1, 0 plus 1 equals 1. Now, if I wanted to run this again, I can right click and set that as the next stage back again and press play again, and it's running again. So let's say I wanted to make a decision after that where it keeps adding and adding and looping until it's reached a certain number and then it ends. I can do that. So let's put a decision stage. Maximum is the question. I'm asking, is it reached the maximum number? So my question is, does that data item equal 8? Just a random number. So here I'm asking, I'll add 0 plus 1, and it's going to become 1. And then I'm going to go into my decision. I'm going to check, has it reached that maximum number? And obviously it's going to be false. And this is what evaluate expression does. You can test by kind of putting a data into the data item and then test it out. So if I put 0, if I put 8, it's true. If I put 1, is false. So you can actually test it out before actually playing the automation. So that's why this is really useful stuff, and you need to make sure you use it. When it's reached the maximum, I want it to end. When it's not reached the maximum, what I want to do is I want to loop it back to add it up again. Okay. So if it's reached the maximum, I want it to be, so as you can see, first thing is yes, I've looped it to the wrong place. I need to right click, switch. Once it reaches the maximum, I want it to end. But if it's not, I want it to loop. So let's press that, play on that. So 0 plus 1 equals 1. Does 1 equal 8? No. So let's go back, add it again. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Blah, 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 blah. And so on. You get the point. So you can speed it up as it's playing. You can really speed it up and it just finishes really quickly. That is the basic of what you'll be doing most of the time in your process. You will build your objects will give out data, and then your process will take data and do stuff with it, and etc., etc. But that's kind of the basics of what you do with a calculation and a decision stage. And as I mentioned, you will elaborate that further on this, on your exercises, and really like get into the nits and grits of it. But that's the basics of it, really. It's basically, putting a process together is like building a flow diagram, and, you can resize stages to make it look however you want in your diagram. That's a bit ridiculous, but, keep it organized. You can organize it any way you want. If you like it to have it this way, you can have it that way. It's up to you. The main thing is always press reset before pressing go. And, a decision stage will decide which route it goes in on a yes or no basis. And the calculation actually does some stuff and throws out the results into a data item. So 3 things we learned today: data items, calculations, and decisions. And that summarizes what we wanted to cover today, really. Okay, so let's see what else we've got. And yes, with the anchors, that helps you in organizing things around, looping things. You can play things at different speeds. And another thing that I wanted to cover is whenever you are kind of developing your process, when you put it together. Okay, sorry, just looking at the chart, there's a couple of things here. So Mia is saying it should have been from Ariel and another, which you don't have from Europa. Is that access to your environment? Mia, if you still not got it, then contact Ariel or Edward, and they will sort that out for you. It's important that you get access today. Okay. And Neville, your question is, can you get it to go horizontal like swim lanes? Yes, you can. It's completely up to you. But Blue Prism, the way they have recommended that we go is vertical. So it does not work in a swim lanes way. This is not BPM, this is RPA. So they don't adhere to the swim lanes side of things when developing. Although, yes, you can organize your object in whichever way you prefer. I could have gone down this way if I wanted to, okay? But the Blue Prism way is to go down and not to the right. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Neville. Yep. Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, let's go back. That's really confusing. Yeah, Blue Prism does not go down well when you go to the side. And what you need to remember is other people are going to look at your process. When you got an automation in production and it's broken, one of your colleagues is going to have to go in there and fix it, and they're going to have to look at a flow. Or whenever you've built an automation and you want to show your process to a manager or something, they want to be able to read and see what's going on. So please have some mercy and keep it clean and keep your diagram nice and neat. Okay, right. Few more things to cover. As I mentioned, when you have a data item, you can have an initial value, but you can also, as the automation is running, manipulate the current value. By default, you cannot manipulate the current value, but as soon as you start, so let's say I start and I stop here just before I do the decision. Now you can see I can change the current value. So I can change that to 8. And then if I play this now, it will take that current value into consideration and it will end. Okay, so you can manipulate your data items as the object is as the process is running to manipulate whatever scenario you want to recreate. So that's the important bit. Another thing to note is the way you navigate on your object. So as you notice, I've done a few times, I right clicked and I set the next stage because I wanted to start at a particular place. I want to skip certain things. So here I want to just skip everything. I want to go down here and I want to see what happens. And I press play. Yeah, and that's fine. It will work because obviously it's 0 and then it's going to start. So you can right click to start any stage that you like. Okay, right click, set next stage. Another good thing that you can choose is also run to this stage. So let's say I wanted to run really fast and I wanted to stop somewhere. You can run it slowly. Okay, I can run it slowly. And then I can pause it. Okay, because I wanted to pause it here. But if you run it really fast, good luck trying to pause at the right place. I got it right, but look at that. It ran like 7 times before I managed to pause it. So if you want to run it to there and you want to keep it fast, you just right click, run to this stage, and it will do that for you. Again, it's here. You know it loops and comes back. You can right click, run to the stage, and it will loop and come back. Okay, again, I'll do it slowly for you guys. Right click, run to this stage, you will loop. And when it gets to that stage you've specified to run it to, it will stop. Okay, so that's really, really useful stuff because when you are developing, you want to be, you know, testing things out and running things and going through different scenarios and testing them out. So you don't really want to be stopping, you know, you don't want to be wrestling with the pause button trying to get to the right place. Just use the tools you have then. Another thing is called a breakpoint, and that's the last thing we'll cover today. A breakpoint. So if you right click on any stage, you can select a breakpoint. All that means is that the process stops running as soon as it gets to that breakpoint. Okay, so let's press play. You see that breakpoint reached, and that's really useful when you've got a major diagram and you've got different scenarios that you can go to, and you wanna, if you reach a specific scenario, you wanna stop it there so you can do some sort of manipulation onto the data items before you move on, because you know of your test data or whatever. So that's really useful because you don't know if you're going to hit down the first scenario, second scenario, so you can't really do run to this stage. You want it to run a few times, and then if it hits a certain scenario, you go to the breakpoint. That's when it's useful. So you press play and it hits the breakpoint. You can press play again and then you go back and it hits the breakpoint again and it stops there. Another good thing you can do is with a breakpoint, you can right click and set a breakpoint condition. So in this breakpoint, I only want it to stop when a number equals 5. Yeah, so before it actually so this is before that decision that's actually in there. I want to have a separate condition and I want to stop before I move on, and this could really be useful if you reach a certain stage and you need to do some manipulation before you can allow it to move on. You set this breakpoint condition and then you press play, and as you notice, it will go through the breakpoint the first time, and as you can see, a breakpoint with a calculation has got this fx on it, so you can see it's 1 there, so it's not reached the breakpoint condition, so it won't break. Yeah, it'll carry on until it's reached a condition that I've set. So this is a really useful tool again of manipulating when you're moving around your process. So let's wait for that. Boom, now I've reached that condition. There you go. Now it's going to be a breakpoint, and then I press again, play really fast. The process is just going to end because the condition is not met the next time I run it. So instead of just putting a blank kind of breakpoint, you can put a proper condition in it so that it doesn't stop every time. That's why you get no condition set when you put just a breakpoint without conditions. Okay, I hope that was clear, and I hope that this gives you a bit of an insight about the process. It's not really going to give you a clear picture just yet about the whole thing, but I'll show you now a bit about it so you can get a bit of an understanding of what we're going to do in the coming weeks and what you're going to be able to do at the end of it. So again, to press save, I'm going to put some comment in it. Added calculation and decision stages. Something brief, something that I can see, you know, I can read back and remember, you know, what it was. Do you know what I mean? So now you guys have seen some basics. I know it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to what we just looked at, and you know, you're thinking, how are we going to get to automation from that? That's just data. Yes, it is just data, because at the moment we're just getting familiar with Process Studio and how it works. It will move gradually, and gradually you'll get an insight. But for now, I'll show you a really a couple of few things so that you can get a bit of an insight. Before I do that, do you guys have any questions? Come on, keep your questions coming. No question is stupid. If you got questions, put it on chat or come on the mic, no problem, whichever way you prefer. You know, do keep it, do ask your questions if you have any. Okay, looks good so far. Okay, cool, no problem, perfect. So now what I'll do is just show you one thing I was telling you guys about. So remember when I told you guys, you know, keep your diagram clean? That's because I've somewhat got some experience on not keeping the diagram clean. When I first started doing this stuff, you know, I really knew I forgot about the anchors and I built a process without an anchor. And this is a process that I created. This is a real life process I created for the company I was working in. If I open you one of the pages for it, this is what my diagram looked like, and people were not happy about that. So I'm just showing you something that you should not be doing. This looks very confusing. I mean, it's just not acceptable, to be honest. It looks really ugly and it's just all over the place. Look at that. I mean, damn, your processes are going to be big and they're going to look like this. And if you're organizing the same way I did there, that's not good enough, my friend. You need to use your anchors and organize things properly. Exactly. Don't do this. I'm showing you this so that you don't do it. Exactly. Spaghetti. My colleagues used to call it spider. You know, look at this. I mean, like, this stuff is just crossing lines and all that. But yeah, this is a bad example. It can look this bad. Yeah. This is a real process. Something breaks. Your colleague needs to come in here and try and find a problem. They're not going to be pleased with you looking at that. Okay. So keep it nice and clean. Let's see if I can show you a clean example of what I did. I think this one was a bit better. Yeah, it's a bit smaller, but you know, you get the point. It's a lot more clean and going to the bottom. And as you can see, I mean, still not the cleanest it could be, because if you look here, I've got two lines going to the same place. I should have really anchored it so it's not confusing. Don't do this, guys, where you see two lines. This stuff is in the first 6 months that I was doing. So, you know, I'm not that bad usually, but it's slightly better than the other one. But yeah, please keep your diagrams clean, because there is an impact of not keeping it clean. So always keep that in mind, okay? Right, so let's go back to that stuff. Okay, I wanted to show you a bit of an example. So I wanted to show you a bit of an example of what a process looks like when it actually it's working. So let me just play this for you now. So this is a very simple process that it kind of launches the calculator and it reads what's in the calculator and it stores into this data item. This is an action stage and it's something we'll cover later on. But for now, just have a look at it working, doing an automation. Launch the calculator, read what's in there, put it in there. Yeah, and then it ends. So that's all done by the computer. I didn't do anything. I've got another kind of process, which is a really good one. I think it's this one here. So this is a very small little process I created where, so the main page, you always have the main things that happen, and we'll cover again how you organize your process and stuff. We'll cover it later, but it's a very simple example process that launches Notepad, opens a specific document on Notepad and then does some calculations in it, and then it stores the results back and then saves and closes the Notepad. So this process here, let me have a look, is this one here. So as you can see, these calculations, I'm going to get the virtual worker to open Notepad, open this document, and work out these calculations. And where you got your question marks is going to put the results in there. Okay, so I'm going to play that for you guys just so that you guys can have a look and see it doing that. Press play, so it's in launch Notepad. Okay, open the document, file open the document. Now read the document. So as you can see there, it's actually got the data that's in the document and it's put it into the data item, and now it's going through that data and it's working out what it needs to do. There are stages that you won't recognize, but this is just so that you get a bit of an idea of where we can get to and how the automations work, and you can automate absolutely anything. So the rule for mine is take the numbers, put it in your process, work it all out, put it back into the notepad, and then save it. So it's all being done by the computer. So you program it once. So you see that? It wrote my results, save the document, close the document, and the automation is ended. So that's, if we look at it now, look at that. All done by the computer. And that was me. How long did it take to make that process? A few hours. No way. That took me about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I mean, 30 to 45 was doing the whole thing, teaching Notepad and everything. This is a really simple process. This is nothing you would do in real life, to be honest. This is just so as showing an example. But yeah, to be honest, real automations, you're looking at business automations, you're looking at 4 weeks time for a small project, because you have to consider testing, and you have to consider different business cases, and you have to consider the time it takes to build the objects. This is a very simple. Notepad is not very hard to build because you don't have a lot you can do on it. So you have to keep that in mind. That's why it took me that quickly. So now I'm just resetting my calculations. What I just showed you was me playing it in the studio. Okay, in the studio where you actually see the flow and everything. Studio is just for development purposes. In real life, how do you invoke the notepad? That is what we will learn when we get into the objects part of it, Neville. I just wanted to give you a bit of a insight as to why it works, but that's what we're going to get. We will get there, don't worry. We will get there. I'll show you guys everything. What I just showed you was me playing it in very normal speed, the calculation being done, etc., through the studio. The studio is where you do when you're in development. In real life, the way it works is that you've got your computer just sitting there, and there is this resource in there that you'll be able to use and run it through there. Who is user 5 between us in here? Anyone user 5? No? Okay, that's fine. Because in our environment, we are limited to one instance of running the process in the way it actually would run in real life. So let me just go into my local machine, and then I'll show you this process. I'll show you guys this process running real time as you would in a real environment where you're not seeing the diagram. This is how the automations work. You schedule it or you assign it to run manually, and you press play, and it runs at a lot faster speed than you just saw there. So let me make sure I've got it all right in here. Don't have it in here. Okay, I'm gonna have to do it in that environment, I'm afraid. Anyone is user 5? No? If you're not user 5, I'm gonna have to kick you out because I want to get control of the resource. Let's have a look. No one's user 5, right? Okay. Let's kick them out then. I just want to show you guys how it runs in a real environment. You'll be shocked at how quick it is. Okay, so what is my process? That's the calculation process. You guys ready? If you blink, you will miss it. Literally. Everyone ready to look at this? This is the actual virtual worker doing what we just saw in studio in real time in a proper way of running it, not in the diagram way of running it. Everyone ready? Only if I get a few yeses, I'm going to start it because it's actually very fast and you miss it. Okay, so here we go. Right click and I'm going to start it now. Just watch it do exactly what you saw earlier in real time speed. Yeah, done. That's it. Done it. If I go back, open that, all done. Do you guys like that? If you blinked it, you missed it. Okay. Happy about that? I hope you're impressed. Are you? Yes? No? That's it. That's how quick it is. That's it. That's what we're going to learn what to do. We're going to learn what to do everything. And that's what these sessions are about, really. So you guys can put your mics on. Let's have your questions. I've said everything I needed to say for today. Very nice and easy session. Any questions? I'm sure you guys have loads of questions. You can ask with your mics on, no problem. If you guys want to go over what we did earlier on as well, just a couple of things we looked at, I can recap it as well. We go another 15 minutes for your questions / recap, whatever you guys prefer.
Okay, Azim, it's Neville here.
I know.
Thanks. Thanks. That was good. Good session. Just want to get access to the system now, which Mia and me don't seem to have that. I guess everybody else has got access. Do they? Have they?
Yeah, majority of the people in the room already have got access. If you don't have it, please do chase it down because I really need you to have it because you will need it for, catching up and stuff like that. So it is very important you get access. Speak to Ariel or Edward and please chase it up and get the access. I don't actually set it up, so I can't give you the access. But if you do chase it up with the guys, they'll sort it out for you.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So Azim,
yep.
Sorry, John here. The access or the credentials that I was given are admin. It's an admin username and an admin password, and I'm not sure if that's correct or not.
Yes, yours. You are in our new platform. We just kind of put it together in the Europa, isn't it? Are you on that one? Admin and
Yeah.
admin 123. That's it. Yeah, it's going to be the same for everyone. Admin 123. Yes, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and use that.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got that as well. It's Neville.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff. So yeah. Now, obviously, the environment I'm using is the one we were using just until recently, where everyone's stuff is in there and all of that. And as you just saw, I had to kick someone out to be able to use this bit here. But on yours, it's really good because it's your own, so only your stuff will be in there. So the Europa stuff is really good. Yeah, enjoy it, guys. And if you got any questions, do keep them coming. So Mia, you asked about will we be taught how to do the expressions from scratch so we get them right? No, there is no specific session for me going through this is how you build expressions. However, as we go through the course, expression is something we're going to use a lot. And as I mentioned already, do not worry because every expression that you can do is already in here, right? These are all the things you can do. So if you take some time to just go through these things and see what it says in there, you learn how to use them. So take the time to have a look at that. And it's too easy. It's too easy. I didn't know anything before I started. I didn't know any expressions. So don't worry about it. You will be fine with it. Yes, Mia, very, very clean. The Europa stuff is not the same thing that I'm using. I'm using the one we used to use before. You guys have got the Europa environments, which is actually better because it's just your stuff in there. No clutter.
Azim, if we're all logged on with the same user ID, how do we just create folders for ourselves, I guess?
That's the thing with the Europa stuff. You don't have to. You're on your own. Like we all use the same admin password and whatever, but they're all separate environments. They're not connected. So you are in your own world if you like. You can create groups if you like. Do whatever you like. It's yours. Play about with it.
Okay.
Yes, it's your own virtual machine with your own license, Stan. That's absolutely correct. So you get full reins. You don't, before, because we had this environment where everyone was on, sometimes you want to create a process name and all of that, and it already exists. It's a bit of a pain, and that's why Edward's gone out of his way and make things better for everyone. And now you got a much better environment.
Okay, I get it.
Cool. It is, John. Trust me, it is because with this one here, we had a lot of issues. Because as soon as someone is logged in and using, like for example, I'm using the control room, which we'll cover later on. But once you're using that, no one else can use it, so it's a bit of a pain. And now that's been fixed. Okay, any more questions, guys? Can be anything. Doesn't have to be what we covered. Anything specific that you like to know about. Do you guys want to catch up? If you don't have any questions, want me to go over what we did in the beginning just to catch up the people that weren't here? I mean, you can.
So,
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
sorry, Azim. Will there be exercises then to do out of today's class?
That's right. Yes. So basically, the training material that I use will be uploaded into LMS for today's session. So every day after the session, I put Ariel puts up the recording, and she will put up the slides, and she'll put up the actual documentation, which looks like this. So let me show you. Okay, so this kind of like is the document for the training, and then it shows you everything I showed you, but you just do it at your own pace, take your time, and you'd have an idea of what it is already, but you can follow this step by step, and it's very important that you do. And you see they've got these exercises and stuff like that. Please do make sure you do this, otherwise you will fall behind, and you'll find it hard to catch up. So make sure you go through it. So this is the stuff that will be uploaded, and it's all nice and organized for you to go through, and it shows you everything you need to do along with exercises, so you get some practical examples of what you need to do. Okay.
Yep, great.
Mia, you guys have got V5 into the Europa. I've got version 6 on this environment, but the differences are very minimal. The differences are not that big, to be honest. It's nothing in it, to be honest. So don't worry about that. If you know version 5, you can do version 6. It's nothing. AD01 is both. So if you go into the portal, this information is there, but let's just open this up. So this is a document that tells you about the exam. Blue Prism Accreditation Developer, they tell you everything you need to know about the exam. So 60 multiple choice questions. Yeah, version 5 or 6, virtually no difference. So don't worry about that. What we're teaching you here will be enough. So yeah, it gives you the scope of all the different things you need to know to be able to do the exam, and even gives you this stuff here, which is will be covered in the course as well. So you'll be fully ready for it. But yeah, you can get this document and read it. I think I might let me see if I put it in. If you go into here, if you go into the portal, as I mentioned earlier, if you go to portal.blueprism.com and sign up, you're going to have access to all of this stuff. If you go into learning and accreditation, I think it is, then it tells you the different things you need to know about the path, the developer exam, which is the AD01. And yeah, so Ollie, to answer your question, does AD01 exam refer to version 5 or 6? Both. Whatever we're doing in a course will cover you anyway. I can go through the difference at the end, the differences for version 6 to version 5, if so that won't be a problem. They're very small. I use version 5 anyway, so. Okay, anything else? Oh, I forgot to switch on the camera for you guys to see me. So let me just put it on so you guys can get a bit of a visual. See what I look like. Is that what you pictured? Can everyone see me?
Yep.
Perspective versus reality, eh? What did you guys picture me to be like? Beard, no beard, glasses, no glasses? You probably thought I'm bald.
No beard.
No beard. Yeah, I'll leave the camera on so you guys can just keep seeing me just for that brief moment. You know what I mean? Enjoy it. Enjoy it while it lasts. Like a Google geek is what I was expecting. I'm not sure what a Google geek looks like though. Yeah, those curtains are beautiful, isn't it? My wife's gonna be happy about that when I tell her that you guys like the curtains. She loves her decoration. Cool. Any more question, guys? Shall I just briefly do a recap on what we covered? I like with the certificate. Let's have a look. So for you guys that weren't here earlier on, I think we only had like 2 people for the first couple of minutes. So I'll just briefly cover a few things. These are the things that I covered earlier. I said, I record the sessions. So before I start recording at the beginning of every session, I do mention it that I'm going to start the recording. So if you do see that, I forgot to say it or something like that, please remind me. I don't want to forget recording, because it's going to be really helpful afterwards. If I forget, I have to re-record. I've never done it, but I don't want to do it either. So please help me and remind me. Yeah, I think you guys are doing that already, but if you're not talking, just mute your mic, otherwise there'll be a lot of background noise. And yeah, the chat, as we've been doing the whole session, keep using it. I always keep an eye on it, and your questions come in there, that'll be fine. I'll take it from there. And like I said, the beginning of the session, obviously today because of the time zones or whatever, might be a few people that couldn't make it on time, but generally I'll wait about 2-3 minutes and then I'll kick it off. Okay. And then we did introductions, which we're all familiar with now, and then talked about what we cover, a bit about what RPA is. In summary, it's really for repetitive things. Like you've seen, you need to put stuff in a calculation and stuff like that. You can't just say, okay, go out and do this. You have to give all the rules for the computer to decide. So that's what RPA is really for. Good things about RPA, they're all in there. It automates on the front end of the application, not the back end, so not proper automation. We're just doing it as a user would do. So that's the really big advantage of it. And that's what I said as well, that I'm not a technical person. So business people can automate. It doesn't have to be your IT people. So that's the really good main advantage of RPA. And the limitations is obviously the rules again. You have to have the rules. Your process is as good as your specifications. And obviously, because we're automating front end, a button changes location, that's going to be a problem. Okay. And talked a bit about Blue Prism, and what it is object based. And I think a lot of you guys joined at this stage. One of the important things I said on here is that if you are from a programming background, you know some programming, you're technical, that's good because you can use Visual Basic, C#, J#, but you don't have to know it to necessarily to do automations. You can do a full end-to-end automation without knowing a programming language. But if you do know it, it will help in certain things, which we'll cover right at the end in the advanced stuff. So I think from here onwards, everyone kind of like was in here. Blue Prism to Autonomy, kind of same thing, and they are in the lead sort of automations on RPA. Automation anyway, UiPath, I know a bit about it. I used a bit like they do a foundation training. I did a bit of it. Didn't like it as much as Blue Prism. It's so intuitive. Blue Prism is. Automation Anywhere, I've seen it, but I haven't actually used it. But from what I can see, Blue Prism seems to be the better and more intuitive application, but I could be wrong. I'm biased, I guess. And yeah, we talked a bit about the exam and then we did the lab. So that should catch everyone up on everything we did today. Any more questions? We've got about 5 minutes left. If you want to leave, obviously, it's fine for you to leave now. We've covered everything we need to. But if you've got questions, go ahead.
As in, what are the main industry applications you've seen? Which industry sectors?
Oh, the sectors, mainly financial service, over 99% financial services. A lot of the contracts and jobs available are in financial services sector for Blue Prism and RPA. I guess they have a lot of transactions and stuff like that can just go look at spreadsheets or whatever. I'm personally in the retail sector, so the main sort of application I've been using is mainframe automation and kind of business processes that involves a lot of Excel spreadsheets and stuff. But yeah, the sector, financial services, 99%. I have seen telecom. I have seen healthcare. I've seen also energy. Those are the other ones I could identify. And I guess it's all down to, with financial services, I think it's all because they want to be able to evaluate applications, of loans, mortgages, insurance claims, and everything else uh, through this, because I guess, proper automation would be too much. Like, I think RPA bridges a very important gap between things that you can't do in a real automation. It kind of like you can automate multiple platforms very easily and quickly. Whereas if you were to do a proper back-end automation using APIs and web services calls and all of that stuff, then you would have to have the specific IT teams and specific subject matter experts and specific experts for those applications to code it or whatever. Whereas in Blue Prism, you want to work a process that involves spreadsheets, mainframe, Java, SAP, whatever it is that you want to include, fine, you can do it. As long as a human can do it, you can do it. So that's the biggest advantage. And that's why I think financial services are really into it, because they've got multiple applications and they need it done quick. And they don't have the time to get it all done properly. So I guess that's the main advantage.
What do you have to do on the SAP side, for instance, to make an object available for Blue Prism?
So with SAP, I haven't automated SAP, so I can't speak a lot on it. But from what I know, I've helped someone who are actually automating SAP. But yeah, you have to build the object for it. And by default, Blue Prism gives you some objects, one of them being Excel, Word, two of them actually, Excel and Word. They give you with a lot of advanced stuff in it. So for those, you don't have to worry, and those are very commonly used. But for SAP, I don't think they have an object that they give you. So you're going to have to build an object for it. And that's part of what we'll cover in the course, how you teach an application using an object. So yeah, with SAP, you'd have to build the object yourself and then obviously build a process that uses those objects.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Any more questions? Everyone happy that what you've covered? Not overwhelmed? Do you think it's fine? If you have any concerns, do you think it's technical or whatever? Let me know, because I don't think it is. You know what I mean? But if you do have any concerns, do let me know what they are, and I can address them. But if you don't have any more questions, then even comments, they don't have to be questions. You can give us some insight in what you're doing, and that could be relevant to what we're doing here, and whatever, anything. The way I like to run the course is, it's not just me giving you my insights, because sometimes you might have yours, and if you do have any comments or insights, fill them in, because it's going to be helpful for me and everyone in the room. I can't possibly know every industry, every application, so it's important that I know your perspective and you share it with us. Okay, guys, I think we can wrap it up. You guys, yeah, I'm glad you like the format because sometimes you might find that I'm moving too quick, but please bear in mind what I'm doing here is just a presentation for what you're going to be doing later on your own time. And I'm addressing your questions that you won't have, that you might have when you're doing your exercises, so that you don't have to be stuck when you're doing the exercises, okay? So perfect. I'm happy that you like the format, Neville. I hope everyone else likes it too. But yeah, if you got any comments, any way you like me to change the way I'm doing things, then do make it known. I don't want to get to the point where I've been doing it for a couple of days and then you guys, have some issues. I'm open-minded. If you want to do something, you want to cover something, go ahead. I don't mind it at all. Okay. Right. So is there a wrap? Are we closing it off, or anyone got any more questions? Is it a bye-bye
Just
from
one,
me? Okay, go ahead.
just one, Azim. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Um, so you spoke about creating objects and then creating the processes to use those. Where would I get some kind of background overview of all of that? Because I'm totally new to this, so I probably
Yeah.
need to get into context a little bit.
Okay, that's fine. So let's look at the object I've built for my notepad. So this is, actually, let's look at this example object I've got here. Okay, this is what an object looks like, similar to Process Studio. Sorry, John, could you mute your mic? Sorry. Yeah, so it looks similar to Process Studio, but like I said, I will cover this and I will teach you how to build it. But in essence, this is how it is. So you teach different actions to the application. So as you'll see here, I've taught the object to launch Notepad. So here is launching not Notepad, sorry, calculator, checking that it's there and then ending. Okay, and then you put that in a process to launch, and then another one to read. Okay, and then this reads what's in there. So if I put 9 there and I press reset and I press play, you read 9. So you do different actions in your object, and then you process, you put it together, and then you can, whatever it reads, if it's 9, you can then say press another key, number 1 or whatever. But this is what it looks like, and you put it all together in a process. So first you do your object, you teach individual actions, launch, read, close, etc., etc., and then you put it all together in a process. Sorry, it's difficult to get a good overview in the first day of the objects and stuff, but third day is where everything is going to be a lot more clear. But that's the brief overview of it. Is that help? Do you have any more questions? Cool. Okay, guys. Thank you very much, everyone. So see you tomorrow, same time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.